Hello, everyone. I'm Pete Wright with LexJet, and I'm joined today by our in-house technical expert, Michael Clemente. We're diving into how to incorporate Canvas gallery wraps into your Canon image prograph workflow. We'll walk through each step of the process, from layout software and Canvas selection to printing, coding, and stretching. Finally, we'll explore creative ways to incorporate Canvas gallery wraps into your business to increase profitability. Michael, how you doing today?
Doing great, Pete. Thanks for asking. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So, when we're talking about gallery wraps, one of the first things you need to do is lay it out. And I know Canon has a solution for software. So talk to me a little bit about what's available when you're laying out your gallery wraps.
So, Canon has a program called Canon Professional Print and Layout. And it's basically free and available for when you buy the printer. You download it right off their website. It's available for Mac and PC, so that's always nice. We got a lot of Mac people out there that are switching to Macs and more prevalent now than ever. And then it also integrates fully with Canon printers so that when you are in Professional Print and Layout, you can hit the Get Information button. It pulls the media type from the printer and knows exactly what you're using, what size it is, and then fills in the profile as well. So a lot of automation involved when you're syncing it up to the printer. And actually our media types work in there too. So even bonus on us, LexJet provides those media types and they go right into the professional print layout. So it also offers a lot of um, layout options. So we're talking about Canvas today as one of those things, people spend time trying to mirror and reflect, for gallery wrapping, adding those extra inches. So as long as you know exactly what the bar depth is you're using, you can use this program to set that up and automates that function for you.
Yeah, I know when I used to do gallery wraps back in the day, I did them all in Photoshop. And I spent so much time like mirroring the edges or flipping and doing all this stuff just to get the edges. And the fact that this automates it's really cool. I know you've got a tutorial that you're going to show us real quick. So we'll take a look at that and kind of see exactly how you lay a gallery wrap out in the software
Okay.
and a little bit about some of the features and functions that it has when you're doing gallery
Yeah, let's
wraps.
get to it. Right now I have open Canon Professional Print and Layout. And my first step is to open my file that I want to run and turn into a gallery wrap. Add it to the layout. And then I'm going to choose layout mode gallery wrap. I'm going to be making a 24 by 16, so I've added that custom frame size to my frame size dropdown. And now I'm going to make my page size to accommodate the frame size. I'm using a 36-inch roll of canvas, so we're going to choose the spread size 36 by 22. Under roll paper options, I'm going to choose my 36-inch roll. At the top of the screen, I'm going to choose print preview to see how it's going to look laid out onto the 36 by 22-inch spread. Right now I have black edges chosen, but I want to switch that to blurred mirrored edges because I like that look. I'm using the Go frame, which uses 2.5-inch depth on each side extra, so I'm going to type that into my custom depth and then hit tab to apply the changes. I also know that my image is being cut off here. It needs to be rotated in the frame. So I'm going to right click on the image and choose rotate. Once I'm happy with the layout, I'm going to make sure that I'm choosing the right product settings, which I've downloaded from lexjet.com under the support tab for ICC profiles. The custom setting has my canvas option in there and automatically applies the correct ICC. I like to center the image on my layout. And I'm also going to ensure that I'm not wasting any materials by clicking the roll paper options button and making sure that the nose spaces top or bottom button is checked. By doing that, it starts and stops the print at my inked area. Now that I'm happy with the settings and layout, I'm ready to send the print off to my Canon Pro 4600.
That looks super easy. And I love some of the customizable features. Like I said, I spent so much time doing some of the things that this makes easier right off the bat. So we've got it laid out. We're ready to print. But before we can print, we really need to pick our canvas. That's one of the questions that I think most people seem to have is which canvas should I use? Do I go with a matte? Do I go with a satin? What do I use for what? What are my options and why would I choose one over the other? We have lots of great options that work great on the Canon printers. So talk us through kind of the different types of canvases and why certain ones are better than others.
Yeah, I mean, we're great at talking with our customers and trying to find out what their likes and dislikes are in regards to what they were looking for with Canvas. So if you ever have any questions, call us first. But just to go over Canvas in general, I mean, there's really three different types of ways Canvas are manufactured and three different types of material mixes. You have full on cotton, 100%. Then you have a polycotton blend. Usually it's a 60-40 blend. And then you have synthetics, which is 100% polyester. And really, they could be weaved different ways. You can have 2/1 or 1/1 weaves. So if you get it under a microscope, you'll see two threads over one thread or 1/1 thread. Most of the polycottons are 2/1. So the synthetics, there are some that are 2/1, there are some that are 1/1. And basically, that equates to, if you have cotton in your canvas, it's going to be a little bit more textured because it has some of those inconsistencies that cotton has. So the more synthetic it is, the more smooth it's going to be in general terms. And then we also have, different manufacturing methods that make it smoother. So we do have some textured options, some smooth options, some middle of the road textures. But to go over kind of just a general layout out of the finishes, you have gloss, satin, and matte. And you could start out either way, and then you can add coatings to change those finishes too. So, we recommend, if you're looking at coating anyways, go to a matte product, coat it to a whatever finish you want using the Marabou line of products, the canvas cards solution. So to name some, we have a gloss product that's polycotton, and that's going to be a 60/40 blend, and that's our Elements Crystal Opal Gloss Canvas. That's a great solution for getting a print that looks coated off the printer. And then you have the Instant Dry Satin Canvas, which is a satin finish right off the printer, and that's a polycotton as well. But then you have matte products. We have a slew of matte products that are polycotton. We have Sunset Select Matte Canvas. We have Elements Black Opal and Elements Fire Opal. So those products in relation to how they take coatings and are all the same in regards to matte. When you get to satin and gloss, you don't want to roll on coatings in that regard. They're not really water resistant products.
And I know there's Maldives, which is one of our most popular ones. In the photography community, when I go talk to the photographers I know that are printing their own canvases and doing gallery wraps, that seems to be like one of their main go-tos is the Maldives. Tell me a little bit about the Maldives.
Yep, the Maldives is a synthetic. So I was getting to the synthetics, and that's actually going to have a smoother gloss appeal, semi-gloss look to it. Very unique, uniform texture. So it's going to be very smooth looking and detail oriented. And as far as people that are trying to get sharpness and image quality, that's why it's so popular with those photographers. And the gloss reflects a lot. Semi-gloss reflects a lot back, gives you a bigger gamut. So when you're printing initially, you'll see more gamut on those semi-gloss, semi-matte, satin, glossy materials. Matte's going to look and absorb more light. You won't see as much detail right off the bat. Comes back when you coat it.
Gotcha. So we've picked out our canvas. We go load it on the printer. What do we need to do at this stage to make sure that we get the printing results we need as we're loading into the machine? What do we need to do at the machine?
At the machine, we're going to choose our media type that matches the media type you're using. So FlexJet provides all those. We went over that in the last episode we had. But yes, we build all those specific to the products, and the profiles that we make are specific to our products as well. And you'll be able to import that into the Canon Professional Print Layout.
Perfect. So we go through, we print this beautiful image right off the Canon printer, pull it off. Now we've got the dilemma of to coat or not to coat. So that's the big question I think I see a lot also. First is, what canvas do I use? But next is, should I coat this? If I have certain canvases that I don't need to coat, what are they and why wouldn't I coat those? And then if I am going to coat, which coatings do I use and which methods? So I want you to kind of talk through all of that for me. Tell me
Sure.
what coatings to use, which ones not to use, on which medias, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so I mean, like I mentioned before, the gloss, the satin, those are typically not water resistant products as they have a microporous coating on them. So they're not going to receive the coating well. It's going to obviously, when you add pressure to water and you put it on a product like that, you'll start to see ink run a little bit. So we recommend, if you're going to coat those at all, to do an aerosol format solvent type spray. Honeywell protective spray, frog juice. People use a bunch of different products that are out there in aerosol formats. So if you're going to use those products, I would just spray them quickly. That's going to add your UV protection. It's not going to do anything for your durability, but it is going to protect your print from the sun's rays, harmful rays. So on matte products, we definitely recommend the Canvas Card products from Marabou. And it's basically a water-based coating. You're going to apply either by roll-on, HVLP, high volume, low pressure spray gun application. Some people build out booths with suction, and if they're doing a ton of volume, you're going to either want to do that application where you're doing high volume, low pressure, or you can do it with a machine like the Starlam that Marabou sells.
So lots of different options. When it comes to that, is there a general rule of thumb in terms of how long you really need to let this dry? I mean, I know another question when it comes to it. Okay, once I do that, is there outgassing that needs to happen before I can even coat it? And then after I coat it, how long do I need to leave it and let it dry before I can go through and stretch it?
Typically, the canvas coming off the Canon printers is dry within 30 seconds. Now, as far as rolling on things, I recommend just waiting maybe 10 minutes or so for that to completely dry. But you can start roll on 10 minutes. I would say if your HPL spray, VLP spray gun, there's no pressure there that you're putting on the canvas. It's all hands free. So you could do that right away with your aerosol sprays right away because you're not putting anytime you add pressure to something, you just want to make sure it's dry.
Mhm.
When you're going to your roll to roll coater like the Starlam, wait 30 minutes before you do that. And then basically, what that Starlam does is it has a heater on it and it has a pressure bar that puts a equal amount of coating all the way across the web. And then it rolls your product through to the back of the heater. And by the time it's out of the heater, it's dry to be taken up again.
And the hand rolling one, same thing.
Hand rolling, same thing, 10 minutes. If you're going to put pressure down on something, wait 10 minutes till it's completely dry, roll on the coating. I would do, I do it where you have a flat rivetless tray. I use a 4-inch foam roller, and then I'll basically do making sure that I'm not letting the foam roller get dry. That's the biggest thing because it wants to stick once it's getting dry. So keeping it saturated, rolling over your passes, and basically I do it in 2 rows at a time, and then I'll roll back over the middle row that created on the edges of it creates a little bit of a line going up and down, and you just want to smooth those over. It is self-leveling, like all those coatings that you're going to use for those types of roll-on applications have leveling agents in them. So you're going to go horizontal and then rotate, go horizontal or the other opposite direction again to let it smooth over and then let it dry
Now, I
completely.
know there's going to people that are going to ask, what is a rivetless tray and why is that important so that they know? I
S-
know and I get
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
But if you don't know,
Yeah,
it
that's
can
true.
be,
So rivetless trays, most of the paint trays that you get out there have the little almost like metallic hash marks that go opposites and they travel throughout the whole thing. Well, if you roll that on your roller, you're going to see those hash marks go onto your canvas too. So that's why having a flat tray is really important because it will impression the roller into the foam and then you'll have that pattern on your
yeah,
canvas.
so even though it's self-leveling, you're still going to see that pattern in there.
Yeah, I mean, it self levels, but yes, you'll see a little bit of
So,
pattern.
how long do you need to let these different coatings dry after you've put the coating on there before you can actually stretch it now?
Good question. I would say it depends on what you're doing. If you're just using an aerosol solvent, that's right away. It'll be dry, and those, they evaporate pretty much right away. All the liquid, so um, right away on the solvent. With water-based coatings, if you're rolling on, you're saturating it pretty heavily. So I would say, an hour would be good for just letting it sit out. If you're doing a bunch, get, a rack that you can lay them out on. And so they're not touching each other. And then you can just do a bunch all at once. With the machine rollers, it'll be dry to the touch, like I said, coming off the back of that machine. And then which HVLP lays down a real thin layer. Most of the time you can adjust your gun to layer a thicker layers, but you don't want to actually have too much coming out because then you get raindrops because you're hanging them
Mm.
vertically. So basically, you just want to have a nice mist going where you can see it being applied. And sometimes you'll do 1, 2, some people do even 3 coats with an HVLP.
And I guess anytime we're using aerosol or HPLV, we want to use a mask or some type of ventilation and also probably don't want to do that in an enclosed area where there's no ventilation at all.
Yeah, I mean, you really want to have a ventilated area, and a lot of people build their own booths and have the vacuums out and suction going out of the room, and just having fresh airflow through it, and usually using a ventilator mask.
Gotcha. All right, so we've got everything. We've laid it out in the software. We've selected our canvas. We've printed it. We've coated it. Now's the fun part. And this is the part I think a lot of people get intimidated by. And the first time I saw this product, you showed it to me, and I'm like, there's no way that's going to be easy. You laid out and stretched this canvas in 3 minutes in front of me. And you were talking through it. Like you weren't just focused in doing it. You were kind of talking through it, casually doing it. It's the Go Frame system. And this thing is amazing. I love the system because anybody can do it. It's really simple to use, minimal investment in terms of getting started. I think it's like 30 some dollars or something. I may be a little off, but it's a very
Depends on your
inexpensive.
size. Yeah. Yeah.
It's a, but the kit itself to actually lay it out. The bars vary in price depending on size, but the kit you need in terms of the corners and the tools and everything is pretty inexpensive.
Yeah.
So talk me through the process of using the Go Frame system, and we're going to show some video while you're talking through it of you actually
Perfect.
doing the process so everybody can see what you're talking about.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah. So you're going to start out buying a starter kit, and that's going to have the 3D printed blocks and really very intuitive system. The blocks have components on them for alignment, they have components on them for cutting, and they have components on them for squaring up your bars 90 degrees. So every single component of that's put into the making those 3D blocks is used. So first, you're going to trim your canvas to size. So right to the ink. After you've size your canvas in professional print and layout, you're going to actually use 2.5 inches as your gallery wrap size. And that's all the way around on each side, it's 2.5 inches. Once you've done that, you can cut it right to the ink. And then you can use the alignment tools and you can flip your canvas over. You're not even looking at the image to align it, which is amazing.
Mhm.
I think that's one of the most intuitive parts of the whole system is that once you've cut it right to the ink, the alignment pieces that are on those 3D blocks, when it looks like a little step ladder, you'll see them on the sides. And actually, you just center that and you're perfect every time. The bars actually subset into those blocks too. They have areas that, it's made so you can't screw it up.
Mhm.
You can't put the bar in the wrong way because they have notches in there that basically fit the bar so that you can only fit it one way, the right way. Then once you subset actually, you're going to take the adhesive off of the bar um, on one side. So you'll do the bigger side first. So you're going to take the tape off of one side of the bar, the release liner, not the tape. You're going to take the release liners off, and then you're going to push the bars in so that they're subset. And once they're all subset and square, then you can pick it up and rotate it and turn it around so that the adhesive is facing the canvas. Then you can use the alignment tools, just slide them up and down, left and right until you have it perfectly centered. Once you're happy with that and you're perfectly centered, you can press your hands on those bars and pop them into place. The adhesive will transfer right onto the bar. I'm sorry, the adhesive will transfer right onto the canvas. And then once you have that done, you're going to basically use the cutting alignment on the cap. So the plastic cap have cutting areas. You can actually slide your blade across, make your 45-degree cut. Then there's an inset cut inside of the block that you stick your blade into and make the slit so that you have a little butterfly when you pull those caps off. And then basically, once you're done on all four sides, take the caps off by holding the bars down and pull the cap off. And then push those butterflies onto the bar. So you'll see just how easy it is. Then it comes together and it gives you that clean edge. There's no bumps. It's very flush, and that's another part of the system that I love.
Yeah, it's really nice because when you pop it together, the tension is like right there. So you're preset. I mean, I was always worried, man, this is going to be super loose. So once that's done and you folded all four corners in, what do you need to do in terms of making sure that those corners now stay together and then pushing that tension in?
Absolutely, yeah. So the tension's halfway there. When you pull those corners in, you'll feel it tighten, but then you're going to use the galvanized staples. There's one in each corner that come in the kit. So all this stuff comes in the kit. And if you want to make 8x10s or 16x20s, you just buy the different bar sizes and you can put them together. They all go together. There's not one that doesn't work with the other. So once you have your galvanized staples in, you're basically going to peel the other side of the liner back that's exposed and push that canvas back onto the back side of the bar. Once that's done, then my extra step that I definitely recommend to keep it consistent, archival, knowing that your customer is going to get a great product that's going to hold together and last the test of time, pop some staples into the back of that back side of the bar every 2 inches. So that keeps the canvas from releasing. It takes the pressure off before you actually pound in and do the extra stretch. It's going to take the pressure off that adhesive and trying to hold it all together. So,
Now, there's also corner wedges, the little pieces of wood that fit into the channel as well, right? And
yep.
that also helps hold
And
the tension.
that's the last step. I do the stapling before.
Mhm.
A lot of people will hammer and then staple. I do the stapling before because it actually does help you hold that canvas in place while you're stretching it extra. Now, with the 45-degree braces, they fit right into the channels of the bars, which is also fantastic because it's all meant to go together. They slide right in, and you don't want to overhammer. That's one tip I can give is, once you've hammered that corner in, you just want to give it 3 or 4 taps till you see it kind of sink in and then stop. Some people go overboard and then they'll get the corners and just pull apart and
Separate it.
separate,
Mm.
and then you're done.
You got to start completely
Yeah,
over.
you're gonna bend that staple out and it's not gonna work. You gotta pull it all apart and put it back together again. So just be careful not to overhammer in that stage.
Now, at this point, I guess the finishing stage from here is kind of to taste. I know some people like to put paper on the back of it and then put their wire across. Some people just leave it open and put the different types of sawtooth hangers or the wire across. So I personally, I love it to have that finished paper on the back using like either a black or a brown craft paper on the
Yeah,
back
I
of
was
it.
gonna ask your opinion on that. You're the guy that used to sell these things. So
Yeah. So, and that's, I guess, our next topic is, ways to sell this. Where does it
exactly.
go?
So tell me about that. Well, how did you guys pitch it? How did you make the sale? Like
Yeah.
what were the
So
customer conversations like?
we had a studio, as you know, for a couple of
Yeah.
decades. So we sold a lot of canvas gallery wraps. But not only that, in my time in helping other businesses, not just photography businesses, but other businesses, I saw a lot of different places that used canvas gallery apps in a lot of ways. And to me, that's kind of the key of this whole broadcast is ways that you can incorporate gallery wraps in your business to add extra streams of revenue. So the obvious, if you're a photography studio, is okay. I can do bridal portraits, I can do family portraits, senior portraits, sport portraits, things like that. Those are the obvious ones. Everybody's probably already doing that. For us, though, we also use them for marketing. So we had a number of maternity or OBGYNs that we worked with that would let us display work. They had these lobbies that had bare walls. Well, what else better to hang on your wall than portraits of babies or maternity portraits and things like that? So we had approached a lot of those places and we used gallery wraps because they were quick, easy, and they looked really nice on the wall. We didn't have to invest in a lot of frames. We could just do gallery wraps. And we had gallery wraps of different clients we had, and it was instant free advertising for us. We decorated their lobby for them. We had our logo on it, and we would get calls daily to
Yeah,
do
it's a great,
portrait
great
sessions
marketing tool.
all the time. In
Excellent.
fact, they would actually let us put them in the exam rooms as well. So the lobby, and then you go in the exam room, here's some more. So it worked out, and it was a very inexpensive way for us to advertise for our business.
Yeah.
We also did bridal shows. So when we had bridal shows, we would actually hang gallery wraps of engagement sessions, portrait sessions, and things like that. Again, we could reuse the bars on the gallery wraps from the Go Frame
Hmm.
system. So if we were done with one, we would just unwrap it and reuse the system. We'd have to add our own double-sided tape,
Right.
but we could reuse the system, which was really, really nice.
That is cool.
The
So
other
let me ask you
Yeah.
one thing.
Mhm.
When you were selling them, were you displaying them in any different fashions? Did you have any different ways you would put them together as far as triptychs or do anything crazy
It
design wise that you kind of got creative with?
It really depended on the market, and one of the things that I liked that GoFrame does is they do have some of those that kinda come together. They have ones that are like the octagonal shape, so you can get ones that aren't just square shapes, but have, like, different shapes to them. So there are neat little systems that you can use. I never got a chance to mess with the I think it's 6
Clips.
sides.
Yeah.
I never got to mess with those, but we did. We would occasionally do art pieces for people that would like, I'd like to have 3 large ones that are a series, that it's the same image just broken up. So we did some of that. It really depended on the client for those. For the displays, though, that we did that were more advertisement, it was normally just individual images kind of showing the impact of our work. We also saw a lot of businesses using them. So one of the biggest surprises for me from a business standpoint, we worked with a lot of companies like engineers that were contractors or architects in places like that, that when they would finish doing the construction of a building, they would always take a picture of this building. Well, they always had a Canon printer that they were using to do their line drawings and things like that. And they realized, well, this has color ink in it and it prints really beautiful color. And you can actually print canvas on the TMs and the GPs and the pros. Any of the Canon printers, you can print on canvas. So they were actually taking the image of the buildings that they had finished, printing canvases and doing gallery wraps and hanging them in the waiting room. So when their clients came in, their walls weren't decorated with things that they bought at the store at some art gallery. Their walls were actually covered with their work. Their own portfolio was hanging on the wall, which I
That's
thought was
awesome.
brilliant.
Yeah, that's
And
great.
they were making great use of a machine they already had, so it basically gave them more justification for purchasing that machine.
So I have another question for you,
Mhm.
and this is obviously very important for our listeners. What's the money like? What's the take? What do you make in margin? Is it a high margin product? Like, were you guys making good money on these?
Oh, yeah. I mean, from our studio standpoint for us, it was huge. It was probably our biggest margin from a perspective. We found that we could outsource the gallery wraps and send it to different labs and places like that. And let's say for a 16 by 20, for example, we'd probably spend anywhere between 60 and $100 to have it made for us. And then we'd have to put our markup on top of that. We found that we were spending roughly 20 to $30 all in canvas, ink, the stretcher bars and everything. Sometimes not even close to that. It just kind of depended for the same exact one. So our cost was a third in most cases of what we were spending to outsource it.
That's awesome.
Now there were some places that were super cheap, but when we got the quality, when we got it back, the quality wasn't always great, and we didn't have control of that. So if
Yeah.
it came in and it just didn't look right or we didn't like how it looked, we then had to send it back out, wait for it to come in. Whereas with this, we had complete control because we were the ones printing it and we could send it.
Yeah. Instant
Uh,
gratification.
exactly. And, you know, the market really depends on where you are. I mean, it's what you can sell it for. We had pretty big markups. Our gallery wraps were usually in the high 800, 900 to 1,000 and up, depending on the size. I want to say a 16 by 20, we were probably 7 or $800 for a 16 by
Wow.
20.
That's great.
So if our cost going into it was $30, that's a
Right.
pretty good market. Now, that's just what the market could bear for us. And that's years of us building a marketing campaign that we could charge that for our work, not just the material that it's on. But in certain areas, you can maybe get more. Some areas you can get less. I knew photographers that charged way more than us and had no problem getting. I know a photographer that's on in Titusville, Florida. I think he gets like 10 grand, but he's
Yeah.
going through and he's enhancing them afterwards
Right. Right.
with a brush and stroking them and hand brushing them with the different canvas
Yeah. So
oils and
you
stuff like
get into
that.
that at Frederick's embellishing gel. They make a great product for that. The brushing on. I've seen that product work. It's
Yeah, I mean, there's just so many different options out
yeah.
there that you could do some really, really cool stuff with. Another thing is just like retail displays. Again, the Go frames, you can reuse them if you want. And we've seen like clothing type places where they would, hey, we've got images for this display that we're doing. Let's put this image of this person wearing this outfit on this month. And then next month they switch it or change it back out. Quick and easy to change, quick and easy to store. Their cost going into it's very, very low. So they can change those displays out quick and easy, and it's just easy for them.
Yeah.
Another is your big box stores, whether it's a drugstore or a place that's a package delivery type store. A lot of them have printers in them, and they're starting to say, "Hey, I got this printer, and I've got customers coming in to pick up their packages or to get something done." And a lot of them just got back on vacation because they're telling me, "Hey, yeah, we just got back from a cruise or whatever," and they have images.
Yep.
Well, you can offer gallery wraps. If you own a shop like that, or if you have a retail location and you have a printer, you can offer gallery wraps. Again, quick and easy. You just saw
Yep.
it on the video how easy it is to do that. It's not like you have to have
Very
some type
simple.
of degree to do it.
Well,
It's
the other thing is too, like I've always been in the credo of like show it and it will sell. Right.
Mhm.
That's one of those things that you have to do if you're gonna do this and get started with it and it's your first time at it. Show it on the wall. This is something new that I'm doing and offering. And people will ask questions and they'll be like, wow, you're doing that now. It looks great. And so how did you kind of get people interested in it? What was your pitch and how did you get them involved in it?
Well, same thing. In our studio, we had walls everywhere you look. There were canvas gallery wraps on the walls that showed off the different gallery wraps we had as an option. So when they came in, they were looking at it, they were kind of immersed in it. So that was right off the bat the biggest tool for us. The other nice thing for us as a business was there wasn't a huge investment. We didn't have to have massive stock of all the different stretcher bars sitting back on the shelf. It came in what, a pack of 8 for each size that you need.
Yep.
So we just bought enough to do a handful of 16 by 20s, 24 by 36s, things like that. We try to get sizes that would work, you know, a 16 by 24 and a 24 by 36. Well, this 24-inch works for both of those, things like that.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about it. Did you basically choose what sizes you were going to stock before you went ahead and just started doing it?
Yeah, we only offered certain sizes, and that was strategic. Hey, you can get 16 by 24, 24 by 36, on and on, the different sizes that kind of meet in the middle. so that we're not having to stock a ton of different sizes. And again, we also didn't have to buy massive boxes. We could just get what we needed as we saw we were running low, order another box in. But when you get into specialty sizes, yes, I can do a specialty size for you. There's an extra fee for that. So then you're kind of covering yourself. No, I don't have that size on the shelf, and that's not a size I normally sell. I'm going to upcharge for that type of thing. So
Yeah.
it is something that you can
And
definitely
I
work
could
in.
even imagine a customer that's just starting to try to get into this, buying the starter kit and getting one set of 16 by 20s and, just selling off that preface of, hey, I'm going to do this. Here's what it looks like. What size do you want? They don't even have to have the product on a shelf. They could. We're always in the business of like instant gratification. Sell it to them, give it to them that same day. Well, that's not always the thing that they need. You could be, hey, I'll give it to you a week from now, and you could order it in, put it
Exactly.
together, and have it delivered on time.
And I've seen a lot of, especially with all the different arts and craft shows lately, popping up everywhere. I see a lot of artists, the photographers, or even artists that are doing like graphic design stuff. That they've got a nice Canon printer at home, the Pro Series or GP Series that gives them that really great color pop. That now they're doing their own canvas gallery apps and they're doing these pop up shows or they're doing their galleries, and the cost going in again is so inexpensive, and they have complete control that they're able to do these canvas gallery apps themselves instead of outsource them. So we're seeing it in the pop ups there. Another one that's kind of one of the most unusual ones that I saw: funeral homes.
Huh,
Funeral homes are
I
doing
could see that for
canvas
sure.
gallery apps. So again, a lot of funeral homes now have printers that they're having to have, so that whenever they're having like an end of life celebration and things like that, they offer the option to print things. And if you have a funeral home, or if you have clients that you let them know, hey, if you have a passing, I know it's a tough time, but we offer gallery wraps for you. That if you want to have a really nice canvas gallery wrap that you can have at the celebration of life, and then later on you could take it home and
Keepsake
a
for sure.
keepsake. There's
Absolutely.
just so many little things that you just have to think outside of the box. Where are the places that I can find for this? And that's the neat thing about anything like gallery wraps or products like that. That if you have a great Canon printer at your home or your office or your store, if you look for products like gallery wraps that you can incorporate into them, especially once you've seen this video and you see how easy it is to use, all the different steps and all the options you have to make it, and the low cost of entry, you can offer an entire product line that maybe you didn't offer before, that's going to influx cash into your business.
Absolutely. That's the name of the game, right?
Absolutely. Now, before we end, because we just talked about a lot of applications, one of my personal favorite canvases that we didn't touch on, and I want to make sure we covers the Coquina. Talk to me a little bit about that one. I know why I love it, but I want you to tell everybody why it's a great choice for them.
Elements Coquina is 100% polyester. And when you go from poly cotton to a polyester, you're taking out the cotton, which is the most expensive part of building a product. So you're actually going to get it at a really good price point. It's a matte product that's a 2/1 weave. It looks just like a poly cotton, but a little bit more smooth on the smooth side. So it is also water resistant. It's matte, so you can lay down that coating and it levels out really nicely, even on a gloss. So you can go with a gloss, semi-gloss, satin look, whichever way you want, and then it wraps just beautifully. So in that Go frame system, like you said, it's a perfect marriage with those two products. It's a great solution if you're going to coat.
Yeah, I mean, it was our go-to for our displays because it was just such an easy system to use. It's almost bulletproof, took coatings really well, and wrapped so easily. And it was cost effective. I mean, if I'm going to do a display and it's something that it's going to be out in public where people could touch it or move it, number one, I want to coat it with something that's going to protect it. But number two, I don't want to spend a lot of money on something that, in a doctor's office or at a store or something like that could get messed up. So it kind of worked. It gave me the really great look, good quality, but also I didn't have a lot invested in it.
Yeah,
So it was
that's the
perfect.
point for sure.
Michael, thanks for being with me
Yeah,
today.
and a great time, Pete.
Next month, we're going to do this again. We're going to talk about a completely different product line. I don't want to spoil it yet, but I can't wait to have you back next month.
Yeah, I'm
I
excited.
love going in and giving people ideas of ways to use their Canon printer to bring money into their business.
We love talking to our customers and talking about products. So let's do it again.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot.
All right. Thanks, Pete.
If you have any questions about any of the products we discussed today and you need help finding the right Canon printer for your needs, give us a call at 800 4 LexJet. And for all of your printer and supply needs, check us out at lexjet.com.